Looking at your unpainted models can be disheartening, and where to begin can be overwhelming. And I've been there before. So here's what I do when I don't know where to begin and I feel overwhelmed with all the models I have to paint. Over time, things get cluttered. So one of the first things I do is clean and organize my workspace. Once my workplace is organized, I take a look at the models I haven't painted. And I figure out which model do I want to paint the most? Which model do I want to see on the board and painted? And I take that model and I put it on a list. And I add a couple more models that I also want to see on there. No more than 5, because the list starts to become overwhelming. And that defeats the purpose. If I'm working with a new army, I'm going to make a second list. Because sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming trying to figure out what you're going to paint, what color. And this list is going to fix that problem. Because on this list, I'm going to specify which paints are going to be used on specific parts of the model. And now it's time for me to sit down and start painting. But before then, I need to find something to watch or something to listen to. Usually Black Library or Red Letter Media. But every so often I find myself scrolling and not able to decide. And that's kind of a stupid problem. And this usually only happens when I've decided to ignore the previous steps. But when that isn't the case, one of the things I find helps is to just stop scrolling and start painting. And all of a sudden, I'm getting painting done, and all of a sudden, I figure out what I want for my background noise. As much as I love painting, there are times when I'm painting a model and I'm just not feeling it anymore. And in the past, I've tried to force myself to push through and finish a model. What ends up happening is I make mistakes, I take shortcuts, and I start to rush. And once I finish the model, all that ends up happening is me putting it to the side and thinking to myself, well, I'll fix those later. And it's important to remember that this isn't a race. It isn't even a marathon. If you feel that you are pushing yourself to finish a model and there's no real reason to, put it down. Maybe you really want to paint a different model. Well, go ahead and do that. Or go do something else. But if you are like me, you've put multiple models to the side and said, well, I'll get back to them later. And this can be another overwhelming situation. And what I found helps me is that every month or every couple months, I set aside a week or an entire month to just work on those models that I said I'm going to go back and finish or touch up later. Now, what do I do if I keep making a mistake and I just can't get something right? If I'm repeatedly trying to fix something or a technique that I tried and I cannot get it right, I will move on from that part of the model and finish that up and move on to the next model. Because when I repeatedly try to fix something over and over and I can't get it right on a model, I get frustrated and I stop asking myself, how can I do this better? Instead, look at all the things I did wrong. And so I move forward to the next model where I can try to apply what I have learned from the last one to the new one. Let me know the problems that you have with getting your army painted and the ways you've thought of to fix those. And let me know if these tips helps you get your army on the board and painted.